Hello everyone, it's Magdalene. Welcome back to my channel. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how I made this oversized shirt with a concealed button placket. And if you do like the tutorial guys, then please don't forget to subscribe and give it a big thumbs up. Here is the tutorial. So to explain the placket a little bit easier, I just made this little paper sample. So here's my shirt portion, which is what I've just drawn, my centre front and the 2cm button stand that I've added. I've just drawn on some buttons here. So what it is that they're hidden underneath, so you can't see any buttons on the front of your shirt. It needs to be able to fold back under the centre front, back out again, back again, and then have seam allowance so you don't have a raw edge. So here's what I was talking about before when I said I just used the one pattern piece for both sides of the front of the shirt. So I folded back at my first 4cm fold and folded back the rest of the placket, added a centimetre seam allowance and cut out the left hand side of my shirt. And for the right hand side of the shirt, I cut out the whole thing and folded in my placket. So this is the left hand side. I'm going to fold under my 1cm seam allowance and then fold it back again the 4cm and top stitch just to hold that all down. And on the right hand side, I'm going to fold in my placket as I showed you to do with the paper, and then added my buttonholes. So I'm just going to show you how I added my buttonholes. I've set my machine to the buttonhole stitch and placed my button in my buttonhole foot. And this machine takes up to 1-inch size buttons. It's pretty self-explanatory really. If you have this machine and you have the instruction book, it tells you what to do. You literally put it on the right settings and push the pedal down and it will make you a buttonhole. So I've gone ahead and done all of my buttonholes, which were marked out in chalk following my pattern. And I'm sorry it's a bit dark, I was sewing at night time. So I've started off by sewing my back pieces together. I placed them together right sides facing and sewed the seam. Then I overlocked that seam to close it up. I don't want any raw edges. Now I'm placing the yoke right sides together with my back piece and I'm going to stitch it together and then overlock it. Once I've done that, placed my front pieces right sides facing and sewed the shoulder. For the collar, I've taken my 2 full pieces of the collar and I've sewn around the outside edge. Then turned it over and given it a good iron. Then to attach it to the stand, placed the raw edge of my full collar to the top raw edge of the stand and made sure that it's between the 2 notches and sandwiched it with the second stand piece. Then I've sewn around the outside edge 1cm seam allowance. Then turned it through and given it a good iron, and this is what a finished collar looks like. And I will place a buttonhole on the right hand side once I finish the whole shirt. Here is the shirt. It's not finished yet, it hasn't got collar on yet or the sleeves, and I've attached one pocket and I'm just going to show you how to sew on the pocket. So I've pinned my pocket bag right sides facing to my side seam, matching the notches, and I'm going to sew the whole pocket down from top to bottom, then turn it over and place an edge stitch. Once I've done that with both sides, the front and the back, I'm going to place my shirt together right sides facing at the side seam, sew down from the side seam around the pocket and back down to the hem. To attach my collar to my shirt, I've pinned it here. I've pinned one side of the stand and I've pinned that to the neck of my shirt and then sew a 1cm seam along the raw edge. Once I've done that, I'm going to place all of that seam allowance inside the stand collar, turn up the seam allowance of the other side of the stand and top stitch on the right side of the collar so that it catches that seam allowance on the inside of the shirt. For the sleeve, I sewed the seam right side facing, then I gathered up the sleeve head so that I could ease it into my armhole. Then I placed them together right sides facing, matching my centre notch on my sleeve head with my shoulder seam and the underarm seam with my side seam. Then I sewed around the raw edge. And when I'm easing a sleeve in, I like to use the largest stitch, so I've set my stitch length to 4, which helps it to ease in. Also, I place the sleeve fabric on the machine so that the feed dog will help to feed in the sleeve. When I'm happy with the fit, then I will go back over the same stitch line with a smaller stitch width. Next, I'm overlocking around that raw edge as I did with all of the seams. Once I'd sewn them down, I then overlocked them to close the seam. Then I went onto my hem and I folded it up 1 centimeter and then 1 centimeter again. You can pin it if you want to, I didn't need to, and then edge stitch the hem. Also hem the cuff of your sleeves. Next, I folded in my patch pocket and top stitched it, then pinned it to my shirt, top stitched it on really close to the edge, then did my final buttonhole in the stand collar, and I was done. And here is the finished shirt with the buttons all hidden in the placket. It gives a really professional finish and I love it. So I hope you do too. Sorry it was such a long tutorial. If you haven't already, guys, and you enjoyed the tutorial, then please don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye!